Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss pre-market video for Tuesday, September 17th, 2019. I am Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Here's a look at the daily time frame of the ES. Right here, you'll see that the ES is trading just below major resistance. Resistance has come into play here over the last few months, right at this zone here. 30.25, 30.30, right in that area. You can see here, this was the impulse sell-off that we had just recently. Right there from that high, we sold off tremendously to this low, bounced back to the midpoint, and now we have this key level here, this key level there, and the midpoint of that range. And that's our major range right now. We've come just shy here over the last couple of days of reaching that high, and it still appears that we could go up there and gun for that high. I would say right now this is a pullback phase after seeing expansion here. You got the first breakout here through the top. The first pullback was defended for a new high. This is the second pullback into the 8-period average and is now holding. At the moment, we are seeing signs that this thing wants to bounce, but the midpoint of yesterday's range is going to be very, very important. As you'll see right here, that dot right there is the midpoint of yesterday's range, and price is holding right at it at the moment. 29.94s. If price can continue to hold that zone, there's a good shot that we attempt to go higher here. A failure to hold that area for an extended period of time would suggest that we could see a stop run through 29.80, and that could open up quite a pullback or a failure here after and a pullback down the road. So again, this is going to be something to watch here. We are seeing expansion out of this range, and pullbacks are to be defended, but after you come up here to this resistance level, there's always the shot at failing through the recent lows. And again, that midpoint is going to be very, very important. If we take a look here at the NQ, you'll notice very similar price action. This thing has been trending up. It pulled back a little bit deeper into the PIMA trigger zone yesterday and came out of it fairly strong. You can also see today it's holding the previous session's midpoint. So that little dot here right at the middle of that yesterday's range, that's basically today's low or right around it. You also have price holding in almost an inside day fashion here, just a very narrow compression after yesterday's range. We're only trading 40% of ADR in the ES and 45% in the NQ. That's 45% of average daily range. Again, after you're seeing this type of expansion out of this compression, the first pullback here is defended very nicely. The second pullback, same thing's happening right now, right at our trigger entry zone. So you see this little pullback here was a perfect little retest entry and continuation. We're starting to see that type of behavior here again. Just like the ES though, if there's a failure to hold that midpoint by the end of the day or anytime during the session here, that could be significant. So failing to hold 46 for any period of time there could suggest that this thing is headed for a deeper pullback. 7,800 will be the key level where a violation would open up much more downside. That's basically this pivot low right there. So right now everything suggests that we have perhaps one more continuation higher into about 8,000 to 8,050. But again, if there's a failure to hold 7,800, this thing kind of falls apart. All right, let's take a look here at crude oil. You'll see with crude oil, the previous session, obviously a big high range day, a major gap and go kind of situation here. Big news with regards to oil around the world, and again, this led to a major continuation up. Right now we are seeing compression. We're at just $1 of range, 101 of range right now. Inside day, narrow range, 43% of ADR at the moment. So today could be a compression day after yesterday's excitement there. It could be 1, 2, 3 days of compression after that major move in the previous session. One thing here to keep in mind is that 58.50 is very, very important. That's this level right there, 58.50. It's this level right there. And again, it was resistance before the news. After the news, it became support, and now that's the level there. If it stays above that zone, there's a potential to see more upside into about 66. So again, after a big high range day like we saw in the previous session, it stands to reason that we could see some compression days over the next day, 2 or 3, as this thing perhaps attempts to continue higher towards 66. Again, failure to hold 58.5 could lead to a fill of the gap at some point. So right now everything kind of pointing higher at the moment as this thing digests the recent move. If we take a look lastly at gold futures, you'll notice here with gold that we have been in a little bit of a range here. It's holding 1490 barely at the moment. You can see that price broke down below the previous month's close price and then returned to reject off of it from below, but we're now in a very narrow 3-day range. You can see down here on a 3-day range basis we do have magenta just at the moment. It's not a finished day, but that shows compression right there. And I would say right now that this thing is building up for the next move. Again, failure to hold 1492 can open up a return back toward recent lows here between 1400 and 1420. If we can get through 1525 again, 1520, that opens up a return back up to these highs. Again, compressing down here. You have your rejection tail, but if any acceptance above that 1515 zone or 1520 opens up quite a bit of more upside potential here. So right now this is showing a little bit of strength. It's showing a failed new low, and price is attempting to push through the previous session's midpoint. Again, that could open up an upside bias through 1520 at some point down the road. All right, that is it for now. We'll see how this develops the rest of the session. Good luck, trade well, and I'll see you in the trading room. Take care.